Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at a Craftsman 40-volt battery-powered string trimmer. A customer complaint is that it doesn't do anything. Well, you can see that this is a string trimmer. I'm pulling the trigger, banging it on the bench. You know, I'm rolling the speed control dial. It's just dead. Nothing seems to make it want to work. So we've confirmed the customer complaint. I've never seen one of these before, so we're kind of looking it over a little bit. I guess the first thing we ought to do is make sure that the battery's got 40 volts in it, right? So, a little bit of glare on my tester there, but this battery's fully charged. Or charged enough that it should be running. So now we want to get into the handle and the circuit board and the switches. First I broke the screws loose with a JIS screwdriver. It just bit better than the bit I had in my battery powered driver. All the screws are out, but it doesn't want to come apart. Well, there's a good reason for that. There's stickers that run over the cross of the seam. So we're just going to take a razor blade, and there's 3 different places where we got to cut the sticker. 2 here on the bottom side, and 1 on top. Now we should be able to split this in half. There's nothing in the top cover to worry about losing, but as soon as that cover comes off, put an eyeball on the trigger and the guts. You know, a spring could go flying, and then you got to scratch your head and figure out how it went back together. Probably not a bad idea to snap a picture at this point. So you can see I'm kind of stalling here. It's because I'm just checking it out. Never had one open before. We'll get this battery installed carefully. Get everything lined up so I don't get the wrong pin in the wrong slot on the battery or something silly like that. There we go. And now we're going to take our voltmeter and we're just going to follow the voltage and see if we lose it anywhere in the line. So we'll start at the battery connection. We're testing from the negative side of the battery to the hot side of the battery connector. We got 40 volts. Now we're going to test at the switch. 40 volts. Now we're going to test at the output of the circuit board. We'll have to, I'm engaging the switch right now, and you can see we have 40 volts. So, I'm not an electrical engineer or nothing, but it sure looks like we have power heading down the tube. So we could have a problem with the wiring in the tube or the wiring down at the motor or the motor itself. So I want to investigate the other end of this trimmer. I'm going to put this together. I'll just slap a couple screws in here to hold it for now. And because nothing was really disturbed, it went together quite easily. Two screws ought to do it for now. Alright, on this end we've got same deal. We got to split it in half. But that grass shield is the first thing that's got to go. It's in our way. I can see that there's a single screw. We'll back this out. Look at him go. And then there's a little lock tab right there above the screw. Just double checking and making sure there aren't any other screws. And the way that, this thing isn't really designed to be coming apart all the time. So that tab locks it in there pretty decent. Probably won't even need a screw in there. So we're going to force it. And there it goes. All right, this, I don't even know what this bail does. We get our screws loosened up here. I'm thinking what the hell that bail is for. I don't know. We got all our screws out of here. Now we're removing that bail. Huh. So let me know in the comments what that thing's for. So same deal, the cover comes right off. There's nothing on the inside of the cover. Take a good look at what we got going on here. It looks like the motor is free to spin, so it's not bound up. But it's kind of obvious what's going on here. The wires have broken off of the terminals on the motor. And we'll just lift this right out of here carefully. And you can see that there's nothing connected to it. So it looks like this repair is going to involve soldering the wires back on. Now, because I can't even remember what I had for breakfast, I'm going to mark that motor, which side was the positive and which was the negative. So when I put it back together, I don't screw it up. Alright, right now I'm just trimming the end off the wires so it's nice and clean. And then we'll strip some insulation. I feel kind of silly talking through stripping wire and soldering, but that's what I'm doing. So we're going to feature the new SnapOn 14.4 battery-powered soldering gun. There's a start switch on top, or an on-off switch I should say, and then the button that I was pushing on the back side there sets the heat, and then on the front where my right index finger is, you got to be touching it right there in order for it to run. So I've had my finger on that switch for 8 or 10 seconds or so now. And looks like it's already melting solder. So it doesn't take that long to heat up. And I'm just going to, tin the end of the wires here. I've used this thing a couple of times since this video. It's handy. I kind of wish it got a little hotter. But after the last time I used it and I was kind of wishing it would get hotter, I realized that I didn't have the soldering tip threaded to the body of the soldering gun tightly. And in fact, I probably wasn't getting, all the heat out of it that I could have because I had a bad connection there. So now we're just going to solder a wire onto the terminal. There's a little bit of solder left on the terminal. I got solder on the wire. We could try and mechanically attach this wire to the terminal and then solder it. But I don't have enough wire. I'd have to make a big mess adding extra wire to the length of this thing on one end or the other. So I'm hoping that my soldering job is going to outlast the 40-volt battery, I guess. Because I'm going to guess that once that battery dies, this thing will be like out of date and no battery will be available. It's a sad truth, but that's the way things go with a lot of the smaller battery-powered equipment. So the SnapOn soldering gun worked good. Really handy. I mean, the old Weller plug-in soldering gun, more heat, more power. Not as handy. Couldn't use it in the field if I had to. So I'm just going to throw a little bit of liquid electrical tape on top of these solder joints. Really not necessary, but I guess that's just the way I roll. I'm gonna put some insulation on there so nothing shorts across the terminals, or maybe it helps hold the terminals together or protects them. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. Prevent corrosion. That's why I'm doing it. Preventing corrosion. You know, we are running this string trimmer on wet grass sometimes, so I'm going to stick with that excuse right there. Now I saw that there was a bunch of grease flung on the inside of this cover, and I'm just going to get some back on the gears there a little bit. Everything looks like it's snapped together the way it should. We'll get our screws back in here. I still haven't figured out what that bail is for. Maybe it's some kind of a stand? Maybe it's some kind of a hanger? I don't know. Kind of blows my mind that I can't figure that out. Well, let's get this grass shield on here, and then we're going to see if this thing will run. And if it does, that's all I'm going to have for you on the Craftsman 40-volt battery-powered string trimmer that wouldn't run. Thanks for watching. Later.